Currently, the Israel Defense Forces continue their firm confrontation in Gaza. So far, numerous Hamas bases in the city have been wiped out by massive attacks by the Israeli army. In less than 3 weeks, Hamas's main fortification in Gaza was destroyed, with at least 50 soldiers killed. This facility will be crucial in the coming stages as Israel focuses its efforts on eliminating Hamas's extensive network of underground tunnels and seeks a more selective phase of the conflict. Israel has used its overwhelming technological and military superiority over Hamas in all phases of the conflict to weaken the group's capabilities. Initially, with thousands of airstrikes, Israeli troops cleared obstacles for their tanks and troops, consolidating their hold on Gaza City. However, this offensive has brought considerable devastation to Gaza and its surroundings, generating a humanitarian crisis and increasing criticism of Israel's allies. And according to health authorities in Hamas-controlled territory, more than 11,000 people have lost their lives in Gaza since the start of the war. Unfortunately, this damage has been caused primarily by Hamas's brutal offensive. The Israel Defense Forces later escalated their attack with a massive offensive that significantly impacted Hamas. The details of that attack are as follows. The Israel Defense Forces directed their attack on the Badr outpost, the main base of the Hamas battalion in the Al-Shati refugee camp, close to the 410th Armored Brigade. During the raid on the Badr outpost, Israeli troops destroyed military barracks and rocket launch pads. In the meantime, the Israel Defense Forces reported that its brigade captured another Hamas outpost in the region, destroying a weapons manufacturing facility, rocket launch sites, and tunnels in a further operation. The Israel Defense Forces reported that the brigade clashed with armed Hamas fighters at the Blue Beach complex, located on the coast of Gaza City. Around 30 terrorists took refuge in a hotel and fired anti-tank missiles at Israeli forces. They used the hotel rooms as shelter and to plan attacks both above and underground. During the clashes in the Al-Shati area, 150 Hamas militant members were killed. This occurred amid reports of intense fighting in the vicinity of the Shifa hospital, where Israel presumes Hamas has its operations center. Israel achieved a significant achievement by eliminating so many Hamas fighters simultaneously. Even the grandson of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in these attacks. Following this attack, the remaining Hamas members fell silent for a time due to fear. Israel has seen numerous cases of surrender following such attacks. Therefore, several Hamas members are anticipated to surrender in the near future. Palestinian reports indicated that Israeli special forces were operating in the area and that armored forces were approaching. Although rocket fire from Gaza has decreased markedly during the conflict last night, for the first time in almost 2 days an attack was recorded from Gaza towards central Israel, specifically Tel Aviv. 2 people were injured, one moderately and the other slightly, due to the fall of a rocket, which was intercepted by the Iron Dome defense system. The army also reported that since the beginning of the war on October 7th, they have attacked around 15,000 targets linked to terrorist groups in the Strip, seizing and destroying around 6,000 weapons, including firearms, anti-tank rockets, missiles, and anti-aircraft missiles. Israel's ground, air, and naval forces persisted in their attacks against Hamas targets throughout the Gaza Strip, including enemy command centers, rocket launchers, weapons depots, as well as the identification and attack of tunnels and other infrastructures used by said group, in a series of operations. Following these devastating attacks, the director of the World Health Organization noted the total collapse of the health system in Gaza. The Palestinian population, used by Hamas for its actions, is suffering a great tragedy. Unfortunately, many people are losing their lives under the oppression of both high-ranking and lower-ranking militants. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant announced that Hamas had lost control of the Gaza Strip as the Israel Defense Forces moved to secure full control of Gaza City. Following this announcement, Gallant added, "Hamas lacks the power to stop the Israel Defense Forces. Our army continues to advance steadily. Hamas has lost control in Gaza. Its terrorists are retreating south, while the population dispossesses the Hamas bases, evidencing the lack of confidence of the Palestinian people in their government." In addition to these actions, Israeli forces dealt another significant blow to Hamas the following day. The Israel Defense Forces captured several Hamas government buildings in the Shine and Rimal neighborhoods of Gaza City, through the intervention of the Armored Brigade and the Golani Infantry Brigade. The soldiers also took over the building that served as the governor's residence in Gaza City, where the police offices and the military wing of the Hamas intelligence unit were located, along with other places used in the preparation of the October 7 attack. Israeli soldiers reported taking over the Gaza University Engineering Faculty Building, used for weapons development and production, as well as another Hamas compound that included a training base, interrogation rooms, detention cells, and an operations center. Photographs spread on social media showed Golani soldiers inside the Gaza Parliament building and at the military police headquarters in the city. As Israel stated from the beginning, its goal is to eradicate Hamas for the safety of its own population and that of Gaza. However, achieving this goal requires help and time. Despite global pressure for a ceasefire, the emergence of Hamas headquarters and its cunning tactics make this option impossible. While this is happening, leaders from 50 Arab and Muslim nations met in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, over the weekend. He blames the West, especially the United States, for hypocrisy, double standards, and lack of understanding of the region. In the luxurious surroundings of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh, among grand flower arrangements and dazzling chandeliers, a world apart from the devastated landscapes in Gaza, princes, presidents, and prime ministers gathered for the extraordinary Joint Arab-Islamic Summit. Blame for the war and the destruction of life and property was unilaterally assigned to Israel and its followers. No one questioned Hamas for its October 7th incursion into southern Israel, which left 12 people dead, 240 hostages, and triggered a strong military response. The Secretary General of the Arab League claimed that Israel had engaged in criminal actions. The final statement included the following statement: "We warn of the disastrous consequences of Israel's retaliatory aggression against the Gaza Strip, amounting to a war crime. We warn of the real danger of further expansion of the war due to Israel's refusal to stop its aggression, and the failure of the United Nations Security Council to enforce international law to end this aggression." It was clear that this summit and its message of unity were directed primarily toward Israel's main ally, the United States. Leaders hope the Biden administration and the West will put enough pressure on Israel to end the war, but they have failed to agree on how to do so. The summit brought together unlikely allies, denoting the region's concern about events in Gaza, events that are beyond its control. Thanks for tuning in.